All right, so today we are going to talk about oral, and also we are going to talk a little bit about current affairs, right? A lot of you might have heard the phrase current affairs before, but what is it, right? Current affairs basically is about what's happening in the news these days. They call it current affairs. So if you say like, oh, the war that Russia and Ukraine are having right now, is that a current affair? Yes, right. That's a current affair, right? So things that are happening now in the news, we call it current affair. We're talking a little bit about that as well. Although I can say most of my Sec 1 students, right, they're like, oh, Mr. Joel, oh, I don't like to read the news, so boring. Or I don't like to watch the news. I don't know what's happening. It doesn't really relate to me much. But if you had some knowledge there and you could say something, you would definitely score very well, especially when you raise it as an example in your oral. That's why we're covering it. Okay, and some current affairs are actually quite interesting. Personally, when I was your age, I actually started going into reading news, right? Because of the weird articles that I found on the new paper. Most adults will tell you the new paper is a trashy newspaper, all kinds of nonsense in there, football matches and stuff like that, right? But there's always very interesting local news kind of thing. Like, crazy woman in Chinatown chops off her husband's hand because he was cheating on her, that kind of thing. And then they will have like a picture over there with like the guy's like hand on the road, that kind of thing. And then when you see the newspaper, you're like, oh my God, this looks interesting. And then you want to read more, right? That kind of thing. So if you wanted to start on a newspaper that's not a student newspaper, you could try reading the new paper. All right. Although most adults don't read it. Okay. So let's go. I believe you guys and girls have all been taught by Mrs. Ross, so I don't need to go through all the house rules with you. Just remember to keep your camera on, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask. No such thing as a silly question, but make sure that it's on topic about what we're talking, okay? So if you need to go to the toilet, just let me know, and then you can go. So today we're going to do oral communication current affairs. Let's go straight into it. Now, when we talk about oral communication, the definition of it, right? It's important to know definition so we know that what we're dealing with. So a conversation, it's a conversation component of your exam, right? So it's a part of your exam that is made up of a stimulus. Okay, so a stimulus is anything that triggers conversation. It could be any piece of information. So technically, a stimulus can come in any form. It can be in paper form. It can be in other types of media. It could be a video. All right. It could be, of course, words. All right. It could be pictures as well. Right. Anything like that. Right. These are all stimuli. All right. Plural of stimulus, stimuli. And then based on that, then you have a conversation about it. Okay. So it acts as a springboard to trigger a conversation. All right. So I'm not sure whether you've played with this in your PE yet, maybe in primary school or maybe now in secondary school, but a springboard is that thing over here, right? So like this is the floor, then like there's this thing, the springboard, right? And then there's like a spring over here. And then when you jump on it, right, then you can just like doom and you woo, and you can jump over. So that's like a springboard. So it kind of helps you to focus on the same topic and then launch you in a direction of the conversation. So of course, for oral, there are prompts given at the beginning and during the conversation, right? Prompts are the questions that teachers ask you or the sentences that they give you to guide the conversation, especially when you're going off topic, right? Some of you might have that issue. So how do we become successful in our oral communication? So let's first understand how many marks, all right, are given. So we have to understand that it's 20 marks for the whole oral component. Okay, so over here for conversation component only, sorry. So the whole task, right, of it is actually personal response, and you need to be engaged. All right. So these two. So like we have here 1 and 2. So engagement in conversation, there are many tips and techniques to it. Personal response is basically what you say. Engagement is how you behave, basically. So there are many ways to engage in a conversation properly, right? First and foremost would be to make eye contact. I know some of you might be quite awkward with making eye contact, right? Like, oh, if I look at the teacher too much, I actually feel quite scared, that kind of thing. Or I feel nervous. Good conversationists, they make eye contact, but they don't stare at people's eyes. You know, like humans are animals as well, right? Same thing in the wild, right? If you find a lion staring at another lion for a long time, they're about to fight. Like two alpha males, they're about to rip into each other, right? Same thing for humans. If you stare at someone too long, it appears aggressive. And that's how a lot of fights happen as well. You know, especially if you meet like a gangster outside, that kind of thing, and they'll be like, hey, what are you looking at? Staring at me for what? Huh? Want to die, is it? And then they pop out and start to fight, right? But when you make eye contact in conversation, you're actually letting the person know that you are listening to him, right? Or that you are engaged in the conversation, like you want to continue this. It's something enjoyable for you. Yeah. So that's very important. That's why we say making eye contact is very important for you to learn now, because in the future, if you don't make eye contact, you might be giving your boss the wrong message, right? You might not be saying it out, but you might show your boss that you're uninterested in what he or she has to say. You might be giving your future girlfriend or your future boyfriend the wrong message, right? You might be giving your future colleagues the wrong message, okay? Because when they talk to you, you turn your eyes elsewhere. You look anywhere else, you just don't look at them. That tells them that you're not interested, you know? So we don't want that happening. A successful conversationist makes eye contact, let the person know like they're listening or that they want to continue on, right? And then that's how you form a strong relationship, okay, with your colleague, with your friends in the future, with your boss, with your future wife or your future husband, that kind of thing, okay? Make eye contact is important, but don't stare for too long. So if you're looking at the person for, say, example, you know, normally you make eye contact for 2 to 3 seconds, and then you will look away for a little bit and then come back again, right? You don't keep darting left, right, center, that kind of thing. Just maybe look to your right or look to your left and make eye contact again. So that's one of the ways to show your teacher that you are actually engaged. All right. Fun fact, I think there was a study that I read like a few years ago. I'm not sure whether it's still true, but if you actually make eye contact with someone, right, for more than 7 seconds, and if you notice someone making eye contact with you for more than 7 seconds in a conversation, right, it means that person likes you. Now, whether that person likes you in like a friend way or in like a romantic way, I leave it up to you to you know, construe what it means. But making eye contact is an art form, right? It's not something that you can learn, you know, very, very quickly and very naturally. But if you do make good eye contact, you will be more successful in life in general. Okay. Of course, engagement also is your body posture. Right. Next time when you're in class and then your most hated subject comes up, right? Then you notice your own body posture. Immediately you slouch, then you lean back on your chair and you're like, oh yeah, it's gonna be E-maths again. All right, or you lean back and then, oh, history. Right? Your body posture immediately changes. So same thing, your teacher will be looking at your body posture as well, you know. Okay. So if you're leaning in and then you have an open gesture, your arms are placed at your side. Because when someone folds their arms, what do they actually mean? They mean they're not interested. They don't want to talk to you. They're trying to be defensive. So they're folding their arms in front of them to protect themselves, right? But if their arms are open, they are open to a conversation, right? And they want to know more. And if you have some hand gestures when you're talking, even better. You score higher for engagement in conversation. Then, of course, your personal response would be the content that you talk about. We will cover this more in depth later. Those of you who have done your work, you will know what I mean, right? There are 4 parts for your responses. So these are just 2 tips that I have for you. Of course, there are more things to think about, but first, these 2 things first, all right? I don't want to confuse you with too much information. So once again, they say, look alert and confident. Look at this, very important. Sit up straight, right? What is this? This is body posture, isn't it? Number 2 that we talked about just now, right? That's body posture. And then, so look the examiner in the eye. What is this? This is called making eye contact, right? But don't stare, all right? To show that you're alert and confident. Looking down, that's a big no-no, right? What are you looking at? If you're looking down, looking at your shoes, look at the shoelaces, looking at the examiner's feet, doesn't make sense, right? So looking down in actual social context, when you're in society, if you look down too much, right, people think you're hiding something. So if you don't want to look like you're hiding something, or you have a secret, right, that you don't want other people to know. Okay, so that's one of the things you have to think about, right? Next, expressing your personal response. This is what you need to say, right, when you're having an oral conversation, your what content you have. So the examiner will want to hear from your personal response, of course. You will need to use appropriate vocabulary and sentence structures as you develop your response. So this actually means what? Appropriate vocabulary means no short forms, no casual lingo. So let's say your examiner talks to you about like a place you always visit, and then you go and you tell examiner, oh, you know, I always visit Sentosa. That place is so rad, man. That time when my friend fell, right, I was like ruffle all over the place, that kind of thing. And then he was like so mad. He was epic mad, that kind of thing. And then the examiner will be like, what are you talking about? Right? Those are unacceptable lingo. All right. So basically speak proper English, like the Queen's English. Okay. And then when you speak, make sure that your sentence structures are clear. They should be conversational sentence structures, of course. So you are allowed to use not abbreviations. You're allowed to use contractions. Okay. So use contractions because you're having a conversation. Contractions are what, you know, when you combine two words together, like your, or his, or their. They like to represent they are, that kind of thing. All right, so you can use contractions because you're having a conversation. In fact, you are recommended, you are strongly encouraged to use contractions when you're speaking, because that's natural in a conversation. And if you want to use any abbreviations, make sure that it's something that everyone knows. Like when you say PIE, then some people are like, huh, what do you mean? Oh, it actually means Pan Island Expressway. It's one of the expressway in Singapore, right? MOE, immediately you know it's Ministry of Education, right? So if it's a well-known one, you can use abbreviations, sure. But if it's not so well-known, you better give the full meaning of the letters. Okay, so over here, I know it's easy to say, do not be shy or afraid, yeah, but let me give you a practical tip for this, right? So some of my students find this useful, right? How do you push down your nervousness, or how do you push down your fear? All right. It's called it's like a breathing technique. Okay. So it's, some people just say, oh, take a deep breath, that kind of thing, but it didn't really work for me. So I use this breathing technique, right? Called 5, 3, 2. So 5, 3, 2, right, means breathe in for 5 seconds, and then hold it for 3 seconds, and then expel everything in 2 seconds. So you go like 5, and then you 1, 2, 3, and then you, and it actually helps you to release a lot of tension, especially muscle tension. Okay, so this is breathing in, holding, and then breathing out. All right, so yeah. And share your opinion freely. So the more you share what you think, the better you will score, because that's what personal response is, right? That's why it's called personal. It's what you think about something. Of course, know yourself well and articulate your views basically means elaborate. Yeah. Give reasons or examples as you go along. And it is always okay to say no. I have no idea why a lot of my primary 6 students, right, they don't know how to say no in oral. I keep telling them it's okay to say no. Say, I don't like it. No, it's fine. I don't like it. Yeah. Or, oh, I disagree.